Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for November 25th, 2012. It's a special weekend discussion because we have a little bit of snow heading our way. I want to break it down a little bit and explain why it's a little bit too early to put out a snow map just yet, but there's certainly some interesting developments unfolding here. First, let's take a look at our latest observations. As you can see, it's a bit chilly out there. Temperatures in the mid-30s along the coast. Lower to mid-30s over the interior, and of course missing our cold spots in the upper 20s. We have some lake effect snow out in western New York as well, and we could see a few snow flurries here in northwestern New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, the New York City metro, especially around Connecticut as well. You could see a few snow showers and snow flurries. No accumulation, but it'll look festive at the very least. Taking a look at the radar, you can see some of these lake effect snow showers developing here and shifting off towards the east. You can also see, quite frankly, we have a warm front starting to develop here. This warm front is going to lift to the north and east. Not going to produce much in the way of precipitation, but will bring us back to normal temperatures, let's say in the upper 40s to lower 50s by tomorrow. Today's highs and upper 30s to mid 40s. It's not really going to be all that warm out, let's just say. Certainly below normal temperatures for today, as we have our polar air mass in place. Taking a look at our infrared satellite picture. You can see pretty much high pressures in control. We have some disturbances associated with that warm front at the mid-levels, lifting to the north and east, producing some cloud cover here this morning. But really, overall, not really that bad of a day at all for a Sunday. Again, it's going to be chilly, but no major precipitation, no major cold snaps, just your normal, uncomfortable November day. So what can we expect moving forward? Well, let's take a look at the water vapor satellite picture. We have a few interesting observations here to point out. One, we're starting to see redevelopment of our subtropical jet stream again. So we have moisture starting to build here. We have a couple disturbances here that are not really being handled very well by the model guidance. And that's a key point here. We have another, let's say, 3 days to keep an eye on this storm. The models have been bouncing back and forth on A, how intense this disturbance is going to be, and B, where is it going to track. These two factors have led to a wide variety of forecasts, everything from a low pressure system moving up towards the St. Lawrence River Valley in southeastern Canada to a complete miss and no storm at all. That's a pretty wide variable. We've also seen forecasts where the storm passes just to south of New Jersey and produces a moderate snowfall, light snowfall, heavy snowfall. And the reason why you're seeing all these different forecasts is because we still don't have a strong handle of just how strong and dynamic this disturbance is going to be, how it's going to interact with the subtropical jet stream, and also finally, how will it eventually coalesce and interact with the cold air that's going to be in place. So you have all these factors coming together, and that's leading to a wide variety of solutions that are starting to be narrowed down, but we still don't have a strong handle of exactly what's going to happen here. So here we have, first in the Pacific, you can see our trough has shifted back towards the Aleutian Islands, right back here. So it's more of a trough here and a ridge starting to pop in the west. And that's important because that leads to a trough in the east and allows our storm that develops over the mid-Atlantic coast to slow down just enough to produce some snowfall or rainfall along the immediate coast. Also, you can see we have in the Atlantic a negative NAO pattern starting to develop. We're starting to see an upper level low develop around 50 north and 50 west, right around here. And as a result, some ridging around Greenland and northeastern Canada, which slows down the whole storm track and allows for intensification of a low pressure system. So the key players are there. The question is, how do they interact? So let's take a look at the European model guidance. Here we are as of last night, the 0Z run from the European model guidance from Penn State EWOL. And you can see we have our trough around the Aleutians. We're starting to see a ridge starting to develop in the west. And of course we have our blocking pattern in the Atlantic. By this evening, our blocking pattern in the Atlantic starts to intensify. You can see the ridge developing over here. And you can see our ridge starting to develop in the west. Now, our disturbance tonight finally gets into the United States. And that's important because now it's going to have full sampling. We're going to finally get an idea of just how strong this disturbance is. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, it's a bit chilly out there in Canada and over the northern Mid-Atlantic. So we're dealing with a setup where we definitely have cold air in place ahead of this storm. By tomorrow, again, that warm front lifts through briefly. The cold air retreats very briefly, but comes right back tomorrow afternoon with the passing cold front. No threat of precipitation, I think, in this situation because we have such a dry atmosphere in place. But you will notice the wind shift from southwest to northwest. And you'll also notice that tomorrow evening, our temperatures are going to be falling off a bit faster than what we currently have, normally have, with a normal cooling in the evening. So you can see high pressure will be moving through and we will be cooling off. Now heading off later on, here we are on Tuesday night. This is where it gets interesting. Before that time, here's our disturbances moving in and it's starting to interact with our subtropical disturbance, which isn't very strong but has moisture. In the models, it keeps this disturbance very, very weak, almost non-existent. I think that's an error. I think that might be an issue where we're going to have to keep it, which is why I'm still a little bit concerned on exactly how this storm is going to evolve. So by the time we get into Tuesday evening here, our low pressure system is off the mid-Atlantic coast. You can see we have a pretty strong thermal gradient here, and you can see it's plenty cold enough. Now, if this storm and the precipitation moves through mostly in the evening, let's say after 5 p.m. for the most part, and we have temperatures falling, wherever we get a very strong band of heavy snow or precipitation, I think that's where we're going to be dealing with the potential for a good deal of frozen precipitation. Whether that's sleet or snow, I'm not sure yet. That's why we have to wait. Right now, I think a general 1 to 4 inch snowfall can be expected because this low pressure system is still moving relatively quickly. But a lot of the factors here that I would look for a moderate snowfall are in place. We have a ridge around the Rockies here. We have a nice trough in the east. We have a nice disturbance developing off the coast. We have marginal blocking in the Atlantic. If this was further south, this would be a bigger deal. Because if the polar vortex was further south, this ridge would be able to build further into Canada, block up the whole pattern. But in this case, it's not. It's a little bit too early for that for this season. But you can see at all levels of the atmosphere, we have plenty of moisture along the coast. And that's the other key thing too. With this storm track, the majority of the forcing, the lifting, and the moisture is going to be focused again towards the coast. I know some of you in northeastern Pennsylvania are thinking, we're going to miss this again. Unfortunately, it does look like that right now. And the reason why is because we have so much dry air surrounding this storm. This isn't a large, moisture-filled storm here. So it's a bit compact. And I think the further north and west you are from the coast, the more likely you'll see a complete miss from this, maybe 1 or 2 inches. I think the jackpot area, if you want to talk about snow right now, my hypothesis is probably around the Delaware River Valley. I think someone could get 2-3 inches of snow out of this, especially as you move up north towards northwestern New Jersey and right over northeastern Pennsylvania, right by the Delaware River Valley, right around the Delaware River. I think that's where you could see a couple inches of snowfall out of this storm. Again, it's going to move quickly. On Tuesday evening, by early Wednesday morning, it's going to be exiting and then clearing out. By late Wednesday morning, you'll probably see clearing skies as the storm exits out. But again, we have to watch to see how this polar disturbance interacts with that subtropical disturbance. That could lead to a little bit more amplified storm and maybe a little bit slower storm. Something to keep an eye on. Moving on thereafter, high pressure will be in control with tranquil weather conditions, and we actually warm up a bit as the high pressure system shifts off into the Atlantic. So we do see a warm up in our weather pattern overall. But I want to make it clear, there's a lot we don't know about this storm. We have to wait and see how it evolves. As the storm evolves, I'll have the latest forecast update for you. Look out for this evening, for Tuesday evening, for a new snowfall map that I'll put out, the first snowfall map. I think it's a good idea to wait till 12Z guidance comes out and see exactly how the models adjust to more data on this disturbance moving into the west coast. Finally, I just want to point out, once again, next week at this time, next week Saturday, we'll be having our winter weather workshop. in Brookside, Pennsylvania between 10 and 11:30 a.m. on December 1st. $20 up front, $30 at the door, goes to the Red Cross. And of course, in Butler, New Jersey, between 3 and 4:30 p.m. We'll be talking about the winter weather pattern. We'll be talking about what to expect. And also, you could ask your questions and learn a great deal from this seminar. And it helps a great cause, helping out those who have suffered from the impacts of Hurricane Sandy. Well, that is your forecast discussion for today. Thank you for joining us at NYNJPA Weather. Of course, have a wonderful day and stay safe out there.